Two curious blondes, intrigued by life.
So hello and welcome to the last episode of 2024 of Two Curious Blondes. It's lovely to have you, and it's been a great year doing these podcasts together with Estelle and myself. We've been through some ups and downs this year, and really this podcast is all about embracing winter, embracing the end of the year, embracing endings. So that's where I feel we are today. And so I'd like to start, Estelle, by perhaps asking you about your perhaps reflections on 2024. If you could sum the year up in a few words, maybe. How would you sum up your year, do you think?
Wow. That will be difficult to sum it up, really, I must say, in a few words. But it's been interesting.
I like that.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been very intimate also, and intimate in different ways than I think ever before. And I'll tell you a little bit later about it. I can feel myself coming into another period of life. I'm turning 52 this coming year, and I really feel this transition of life big time in that sense. So that would be my words. And how about you?
I think I've had some challenges this year, challenges that from health of my mum, health of friends, and my own health. The last month or so I've been struggling with COVID. So that always gives you time to consider your health. And I think when things are difficult with health, nothing else seems to matter. It doesn't matter about going shopping for those new pair of boots or whatever you like or anything. When your health is not 100%, the focus is so fixed on it that everything else seems to take a back seat. And I think that's really made me realize how much more I can do for myself to stay healthy, but perhaps even to help others to stay healthy. I'm a mindfulness coach, and just trying to share that passion with people to try and help them have a more steady, content life, really. So yes, health has been a big thing for me, and traveling. So we've done so much this year. It's been amazing, but also quite challenging traveling. And this last month I've been at home, and we've done some bits on the house, a bit of DIY, a bit of decluttering, and I quite like kind of adjusting the home, settling into it again, and perhaps preparing it, like you're saying, for the next chapter, for the what I want for the next few months, the next few years. So that sort of nesting feeling has been quite strong, I think, because we've been away from the home so much. And I think the other thing that I've found is I've been very much concentrated on finding joy in some of the simple things, so that when life is challenging or life is busy or whatever's happening in life, is just finding those simple pleasures. And that's really been a big game changer for me this year, from beautiful walks to reading a book to just looking at the trees and different things. So that finding the joy in simple pleasures, I think, has really been my big change this year on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tell me something a little bit then about, going through this year. Were you very enthusiastic and optimistic about this year? Did you have lots of goals? Or has it been a year that has been driven by other people's goals and needs, maybe?
Yeah, I think mostly that last, but also it was interesting hearing your describing your year, because I totally relate to all the subjects that you tell. And I almost forgot how poorly I was healthy in the first part of the year. I was
Mhm.
really hardly struggling with menopause symptoms, but also many other like autoimmune disease, and which is not gone, but I found it in another balance. And it like you said, I was so focused, I was so like almost self-centered because of this constantly pain and addressing everything and anything in my body appearing, that that I was more, yeah, feeling almost victimized of life a little bit in that sense. And
Mm.
so yes, it was in the first part, I remember it was very driven by that. And it's interesting how easily you forget, and that's a good thing.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. And on the other hand, I can see also that it changed not only maybe because I take some measures like doing with my body different things about food, about mindset, about meditation practice, etc. I dived in more deeply again this year. But there was also something other around the corner, and that was the health of others. And especially my dear friend who recently passed, and she started to get really severely ill. And because I find myself in a very supporting role and almost naturally feeling the urge and the compassion and the love to be with her in that last phase of life, um, it also took me out of my own misery. It's
Mm.
refocused myself. I was not so self-absorbed anymore, um, and even more into the year, because it's a month ago more or less that she passed. I can see that in those moments, those last days of her life, my life changed because I came in a sort of pause, like a winter, also because of her
Mhm.
winter, her final winter, really. And I discovered more, yeah, humbleness about life in myself. And like you also said about valuing those small things, definitely, even more profoundly, those small things, those small intimate moments, those yeah, small breakthroughs of laughter or crying, or sharing, and really appreciating that what we already lived and still were living, but also seeing that oh, in the end everything needs to end. And it's not
Mhm.
easy to see that, but it's also beautiful. I
Mhm.
experienced that. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And I think as well, it's about being very present, isn't it? If you can be present in those moments, that's when you see the joy from it. If you're busy and your mind is elsewhere and you're trying to do something or be with someone, but you're distracted, disorganized, frustrated, the whole thing takes on a very different feeling, I think. I mean, you and I do have the luxury of time. We appreciate that. We're not in a type of 9 to 5 job that changes, how we can help and support people. But even so, I think to stay present with these moments is what helps, I think. And I know you've shared with me, with your lovely friend, that you could spend some really special moments with her, being there for her, but also finding, like you say, some something special for yourself as well from the moments, I think. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think what totally true what you're saying. But what I also found that it was, even though I, in a way, I sacrificed all my time
Mm-hmm,
with love, of course, otherwise I wouldn't
mm-hmm,
have done it. I felt that even though I was 24/7 at service, it didn't feel like I was giving away myself or my energy
mm-hmm,
or my whatever. It was containing everything. It was so much imbalance that
mm-hmm,
the serving became not serving, but really like an exchange, on another level. And I really was surprised by that, and how, even though I slept poorly because I was awake in the night, but it was not that um, exhausting for me. It was so much more, a natural process, and so much a natural balance that I didn't need to do anything for it, and that
mm-hmm.
was really a surprise to me.
Mm.
Yeah.
And do you think it's different? When we come back to this idea of embracing, when you embrace it rather than fight it, yeah. Because if you're doing something you perhaps don't want to do, but you find somewhere inside you that you do it with grace, you do it with purpose, and you do it so that it doesn't take 100% of you. So you end up not feeling completely drained by it because you've still kept that little bit of you back, perhaps. And this idea of embracing perhaps is not about 100%, but recognizing what is needed for this event or this time or this moment, and supporting without giving your all, so that you're completely wrung out to dry, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I would say, for me, a really easy way to recognize is when I was doing things with ease,
Mm-hmm,
because I was not out there or out there. I
mm-hmm,
was still centered, like you said,
mm-hmm,
present, centered. And from that position, I could give and back. And it was like this movement of going back and forth, which felt as an easiness, easiness, even though the situation was not easy, but the motion itself was easiness. And I think that is also the quality of winter time, that
mm.
we take it easy and
Yes.
trying to do the things at ease, and not rushing and taking a slower pace, seeing that drinking a hot cup of tea with present, and a small talk about something you celebrate in life is so much value, uh, that yeah, it's yeah, like you said, and in the start, it's really embracing the winter. It's really embracing the energy of winter, and it's accepting all these phases in our life, all these seasons in the year, in our life, in our
Mm-hmm,
day. I like to teach about that, uh,
yeah.
and I can see that it was, and still is, a lot of winter in me, but without, um, before, I can see that I was also wintering, but I was more fighting. I was more fighting, also fighting the surroundings, and people are starting to realize that I am like this, and I'm just not wanting to big party or whatever. so yeah, it helps if your environment, and like you said, we have the privilege of arranging our time, so you can take it slow and you can say, okay, Christmas is just one moment and we don't need to do it as and have a lot of fuss around it. And yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, embracing that winter. Yeah.
Mm. And in
And
fact, that's what you taught me, Estelle, when we were first together and you were doing some training with us about wintering and wintertime. And I'd never really considered it before. I suppose I'm a sunshine girl, and we're coming off in January and February to escape down to some sunshine and everything. Um, and I never really realized how much I needed winter. And I mean, I like the snow and I like the scarves and the boots, and I like this sort of idea of dressing up warm. But the slowing down has been a real interesting and, yes, quite challenging for me. I'm not very good at sitting and doing things at a very slow speed, but the benefits have been amazing. You know, sometimes when you read a book in the afternoon, there's sometimes this guilty feeling that you should be doing something else and that reading a book isn't the right way to spend your time. But why not? You know, why not during this wintering period do those kind of nice things that really sort of help you relax, help you have some downtime, and are very different perhaps to the sunshine and all the energy that comes from the summer months and everything. So yes, thanks to you, you've taught me that. And this last December, as I say, when I've been struggling with COVID, well, both my husband and I have been struggling, which has been quite interesting. And we haven't done a lot, but still I've managed to embrace winter and enjoy the fire, enjoy the small routines. Like you say, having a hot drink and just relaxing has been really quite an eye opener, and also very good for my recovery, I think, and very important, not just good, but very important for my recovery. Yes. So yeah.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's winter. If I don't know, but it's interesting that you got ill, right?
Yes.
It for me, it's like maybe it's an invitation of your body just to
I
really
think
slow
so.
down.
I think so. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, it's the 1st December for as long as I can remember that I hadn't got anything planned. So usually with my teaching and before that in a previous life, December was always one of my busiest months. And I always got a cold at Christmas time when I stopped. And I was really looking forward to this December, thinking, wow, I've got no plans, nothing. And then bang, the 5th of December, I go down with this. And it's almost like you've got no plans, but you're not going anywhere, you're not doing anything. And Christmas kind of came and went in this little sort of haze of TV, warmth, just about walking the dog. It was very interesting. But I decided not to battle with it. I decided not to take it on and force myself to really be doing things that I wasn't well enough to do. And again, it's back to that embracing, I think. And that is what I'm learning. And that's what I'm learning for myself, but also trying to share with others. Because when you get it yourself, you see it so much in other people, how they battle to just, especially in women, just keep going through everything, you know. No, this COVID isn't going to stop you. No, all these problems are not going to, I'm going to be strong and everything. And I think that's very much our call, you hear. And yet sometimes it's about seeing the different rhythms, I think. Yeah, yeah. I love what you're saying about Portugal as well, what you said to me earlier about living in a sunny climate, about, yeah. So maybe just share that with us, because I think that was quite an interesting insight as well.
Oh, yeah, that is yeah. So I recently came back from Holland because of my friend, and then I found myself here with a lot of sunshine, which I love, of course,
Mhm.
and I could see also how spoiled I am having all these years, almost 8 years now here living in Portugal. Not only the sunshine, but the daylight. I mean, there's so much more light during the day. I mean, the difference between summer and winter is less big the more south you go. And before I was in Holland and experiencing this narrow time set of having really light, and then even the light was filtered because of the clouds. So in the first days, I was really like, wow.
I'm back.
Yeah, real wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And then I found myself struggling a little bit, ironically, because my mind still says it is sunny. You need to go outside because this is Holland. If there's sun, you go outside because you celebrate the sunlight. But here's, well, not every day, but many, many days of the week we have sunshine. So I really need to find a way in that, because in a way my brain said it's not winter, it's too
Yeah.
sunny and too warm during the day, because even we eat lunch frequently outside. It's amazingly, of course, out of the wind, but so yeah, I can see there is also a memory in my system about that, in a sort of conflict, and I need to still need to find my way in that. But also, what I was thinking when you asked me that, and considering the winter time, and also talking to some people who are friends of mine who are really in a depression, in a depression state, that I think it is normal for us to be a little bit depressed in the winter, and not saying that we are in the downside of depression, really being totally out, but more like going into this inward process of reflection, of little bit melancholic way of looking to life, like maybe looking to losses, or yeah, in that respect also looking to what can come, and maybe have some small seeds already there in our back of our mind, like, okay, I want to go there. And I think it's a normal part of, like, look at nature, the leaves fell, and the trees are empty of the leaves, but it doesn't mean nothing is happening. There is still activity, only it's small and it's dark, and it's more in the earth or underneath the earth, or and I think that's also in us. We are in this moment in the winter that we are in a sort of depressive state, and it helps us. It helps us
Yeah.
to, as I experienced, also to grieve, to see our losses, to see our wins, of course. I mean,
Yes.
but to have that moment of stillness in us, and feel that, and allowing ourselves to feel that all. And of course, that is very conflicting with this Christmas period of life. And then I look to the more natural way of looking to this period, like with the winter solstice, which we had more than a week ago.
Yes.
And that moment is actually much more for me a time of celebration, because we're going again to the lighter days. So yes, I celebrate also some parts of this month, but not in that traditional and very outgoing and very bombastic way for me, because it's more about inside. It's more about, yeah. And how do you perceive that in you,
I
Helen?
totally agree. I find, I don't know if it's the British influence, the media. I do find that Christmas is quite overwhelming with what is seen to be the correct way to celebrate it. And again, I do feel it's female driven, this idea perhaps of having your family around you, cooking, buying presents. I think men do it as well, but it seems so much more dominated by women. And with all this preparation comes this need to have a perfect time, make it perfect for everybody, often at the expense of yourself, because you're so busy juggling everything for everybody that you forget to perhaps enjoy it yourself. And there's lots of extremes going on, from so many people you want to see, so many parties, so much drinking, so much food. The whole thing is almost puts you immediately out of balance for the beginning of the new year, I think. So for me, this year has been so much more quieter. It's been very different. I haven't been drinking or anything like that. So yes, it's been so different, and I've really enjoyed not having that pressure, I think. But also I think it's quite important that people have this focus to perhaps come together. I like the idea of families, of the end of the year, like you say, the solstice, but I like this idea of getting in contact with people and saying, oh, just thinking about you, Merry Christmas, or hope your year was okay, or, just, I know you should do it all the time, but we don't, we're human. So I like this excuse to actually send a card, or to pick up the phone, or to just really enjoy that bit of communication with people. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I do like that too, and I must say, we also did that, some in Holland before Christmas time, and some around Christmas time. And for me, it's really it's yeah, not so much about that food and the present, etc., as being that as an expression of love, and
Yes.
that I like.
Mm.
And then it becomes that ease again. Well,
Mhm.
like for example, for Christmas, everyone in the family brought something to eat, and all together we have a humongous meal. But still, it was in ease, because we were not no one was stressed to have it all done and have it all
Yeah.
perfect, because there will always be a dish that someone loves or not loves. And
Yes,
and
I like it. I like it. Yes, yeah.
and it's really that ease that I'm looking for, and that comfort, and also that, yeah, like you said, being close together without needing to make a perfection, or to gain something per se, but to really feel an expression of love, of our each other, of life, of everything that we have around us, all the luxury that we are living in this Western world. Yeah, so yeah, I totally agree on that. I'd love that, but in a sense of ease. And yeah, and
I agree.
that's becoming easier every
Yeah.
year. I'm practicing that. I can
Yes, I agree. And I also sent some Christmas cards, not many, but I wrote in them to sort of friends and family, and I spent time with the words. So rather than just saying, love Helen kind of thing, Merry Christmas, love Helen, I actually put some words in it about how important this person is in my life, kind of thing, and made it much more special, I think. I didn't send many cards. And then the other thing I've been doing this month, it was a gift from a lovely friend, is I've been doing a daily journal. So it's a prompt every day, and I've been journaling. So although I do love writing, it's not a habit that I do on a daily basis. And that's been quite interesting. Journaling, writing down things, exploring. And I've really enjoyed that sort of time to sit and journal, kind of thing. Even if I never read back over it, it doesn't matter. Actually putting thoughts down on paper, as I say, both with writing Christmas cards and my own journaling, I think have really helped with me reflecting back on the year, reflecting on where I am, and perhaps even reflecting of where I'd like to be, or what I'd like to be doing next year, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful way of doing that, journaling. I think it's really one of the best instruments in this period of the year or of the winter. I also enjoy, and I don't have it here with me, but I made like a sort of mood board. It's
I
not really
remember.
a sort of mood board, but you know the concept, right?
Yes.
And it's about, it has to do with some reflection, but also, yeah, okay, so what now? So where
Mm.
do I want to go? Without making it a goal or a precision or very detailed, but more a feeling, a sense of where do I want to be or how do I want to be in the coming year. And then the form will be clear in the coming months, because I think
Mm.
we're still in winter, right? It's not over yet.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's nice because we have the new year, but yeah, the new year is still winter. So yeah, how do you see that?
Yes, very much so. So being a teacher for many, many years, I always like September because that's sort of the new term, the new school year, the new sort of feeling after summer beginning. But I do like this new year. My birthday's in December, so I become a year older. So as we hit January, I really enjoy this giving myself some space to reflect on, as I say, what I've done this year and how I'm feeling, like you're saying. Um, but also, rather than making it a year goal, which always seems unbelievable, you can't, it's not something that I can do at all, but perhaps thinking about 3 months, breaking it down. I think we need a little bit of a plan. It's lovely to have a little bit of a dream, or I don't like to call it goals because it feels so impersonal for that, but I like to have this dream of things that I'd like to achieve, so you have this a sense of achievement in your life. um, but it doesn't matter if you don't get there. It's not the type of thing that will affect you and make you feel depressed about it. So I think it's good to have something to work towards. um, but also I think it's nice to have different periods, like I love this idea that the light is coming back, the days are getting longer, and the springtime. If I had all the money in the world, I think I've said before, I would follow spring around the world, because you have to have winter to then get the spring. And what I love about spring is when nature wakes up again, and I love that time of watching it all come to life with the buds, the trees, the flowers, and everything. That is such a treat. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like, well, in fact, I've got a nice little sprinkling of sunshine that might actually tie in nicely with this. So it says, the way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain. And that's how I feel about winter. You need to go through it because it's not going away. It's a fact of life. Nature deals with it, so we need to deal with it. That's that quote was actually from Dolly Parton, the wonderful country singer.
The
But
wisdom.
yeah, there's wisdom. And I like this idea of, yes, if you want those good times, you've got to go through the difficulty. As I say, with Buddhism and mindfulness, they talk about the mud. Yes, how we get the lovely lotus flower from the mud, basically. And that's where we grow, through our challenging times. That's where we find time for growth, I think. Yeah, and I think that's important. And perhaps that's a topic for another podcast during
Yes,
2025.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I really wanted to say I've really been enjoying just reflecting our podcast. I really have been enjoying doing this with you, and I'm looking forward to more, and to our growth line in that, and yeah, finding it out together, and yeah, seeing life to both our different glasses.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you everyone so much for joining us. And
Thank you. Yeah.
here. And see you in the next year.
Yes, 2025. Lovely. Thanks, Estelle.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.